Joining us now, very special guest, Professor Ashok Gulati. He is the INFOSYS Chair of Agriculture at ICRIER. Thanks very much, Professor Gulati, for being with us. We'll talk about the agricultural aspect in just a moment, but the broader environmental concerns, the broader issue of irregular rainfall activity. Now, for the last many years, we report overall the rainfall has been very good. People say that, oh, that's great. But that is not necessarily reflective of the ground reality. How do we as a country prepare for what is not just a trend now, it's more substantive, it's here to stay perhaps?
Well, as you rightly said, that the climate change has been knocking on our doors for quite some time now. It's time to wake up. One thing is very clear, the frequency and the intensity of droughts on one side and flooding on the other, that is likely to increase in the years to come. So we have to be well prepared with a very well focused strategy, how to create climate smart agriculture, which can bear the volatility in nature's, whether it is heat wave or whether it is rainfall, and create a resilience in the production system. So that much, very much is on the card, and time to wake up for that.
Yeah. Professor Gulati, when one speaks about food security, and let's talk about the present context, will our food security be guaranteed with the ban of rice exports in certain categories?
Well, ban on rice, as far as basmati and parboiled is concerned, which is roughly half of what we exported last year, a little more than half, that is still free. There is 20% export duty on common rice, and broken rice is banned. And now common rice, 20% export duty. In fact, I had been writing on this because rice is a crop which takes the maximum subsidy on power, on fertilizers, irrigation, and we have been exporting too much water. Mm-hmm. Last year when we exported 21 million tons of rice, that was literally exporting 42 billion cubic meters of water from this country. And when you export 40% of the global trade, you bring down the global prices, which is not good for the country's benefit because the marginal revenue starts coming down. So I think it is a well calibrated, well calculated, and well thought out policy on that front.
The impact, sir, on the sowing of Kharif crops in these states which have had deficient rainfall, what's likely to happen?
Well, you have given the numbers on the rainfall, yeah. And also the first advanced estimates of Kharif have been released. What we see is about 7 million tons of rice production getting down compared to last year. Okay, so that's the impact, roughly about 5% impact, because last year we produced 130 million tons overall rice production. So this year it's going to be less. I feel it's a blessing in disguise also. We have to see that we have been producing too much rice. Our stocks have been 2.5 times the buffer stock norms, and our exports have been so much that they are bringing down the marginal revenue being earned. So if we had been saying that you need to reduce area under rice to save your water, to save your greenhouse gas emissions, because there is a lot of methane and nitrous oxide that is emitted in the cultivation of rice, especially when it is flooding. So that area will come down. We have ample stock, so nothing to get alarmist in this case. Right. We have ample stocks on that.
Mm-hmm. One final question, sir. Any potential impact that you foresee on the free ration scheme? It's at one level extremely expensive for the government. It is a politically sensitive issue. But from a practical standpoint, do you see an impact?
You rightly said it's a political call, and perhaps it was quite justified and rational during the COVID period when people lost their jobs and all that, to develop the ration from the PDS through this PM Anna Yojana, Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana. And now I think we are back to normal. So rationally, from pure economic ground, I don't see the rationale for extending it further beyond the end of this month. But you never know. Politics is politics. So policies are made in that environment.
Professor Gulati, always wonderful speaking to you. I think the big concern are these irregular weather patterns. How do we deal with it from a scientific standpoint and a policy standpoint? I suspect we'll be talking about this a lot more. Thanks very much for being with us, sir.
Thank you for having me.